My name is Hannah Brooks. I am 26 years old. I stood in the doorway of what used to be my home office, my heart pounding as my mom turned to me with that familiar look of dismissal. Hannah, this room is going to Michael now for his recording setup, she said flatly, all ready, shoving my desk chair aside like it was junk cluttering her space. You can set up in the garage. It's quieter there anyway, and you don't need all this for your little marketing job. Her words cut deep, reducing everything I'd built to nothing while my older brother Michael leaned against the wall, smirking as if this was just another win handed to him on a silver platter. I felt that old twist in my gut, the one that came from years of being the afterthought in my own family. How many times had I bitten my tongue letting my mom steamroll me because fighting back never changed anything? But that afternoon, staring at her rearranging my life without a second thought, something inside me finally cracked. Have you ever had a moment where your parents' words make you realize you've been invisible to them all along? I'd love to hear if you've dealt with a mom like mine. Drop your stories in the comments below. It wasn't always this blatant, but looking back, the signs were there from the start. Growing up in Nashville, Tennessee, our family home was a modest two-story in a quiet suburb just outside the city, the kind of place where neighbors waved and kids played in the streets until dark. My dad Robert worked long hours as a mechanic at a local garage, coming home tired, but always with a kind word for everyone. He wasn't the type to rock the boat. He'd nod along to whatever my mom decided, figuring it kept the peace. My mom, Patricia, ruled the roost. She was the one who managed the household, made the rules, and doled out the affection unevenly, like it was a limited resource. I was the younger kid born 5 years after Michael, and from day one, it felt like I was playing catch up. Michael was the golden child, the one my mom bragged about at every church gathering or neighborhood barbecue. He had this creative spark, she'd say, always encouraging his dreams, no matter how half baked they were. When he was in high school, he decided he wanted to be a musician, fitting for Nashville, I guess, and my mom turned the living room into his practice space, complete with amps and posters of country stars. She'd beam when he strummed a few chords, posting videos on social media like he was the next big thing. Me, I was the practical one, the responsible daughter who got good grades and stayed out of trouble. But that never earned me the same spotlight. I remember one Christmas when I was 12. I'd saved my allowance for months to buy everyone thoughtful gifts, a toolkit for dad, a scarf for mom, even a guitar pick set for Michael. My mom unwrapped hers with a quick, "That's nice, honey," before gushing over the cheap keychain Michael had grabbed last minute from a gas station. "Look at this, so creative," she'd said, holding it up like treasure. It stung, but I learned to swallow it, telling myself that's just how families worked. As we got older, the favoritism only dug deeper. Michael dropped out of community college after one semester, claiming it stifled his artistry, and my mom defended him fiercely. "He's got talent, Hannah. Not everyone needs a degree to succeed." Meanwhile, I busted my butt through school, working part-time jobs to pay for my own books and tuition. I majored in communications at a local university, figuring it was a solid path to something stable. My mom gave me a pat on the back when I graduated, but there was no celebration, no cake, no proud posts. "Good job being sensible," she'd said, like it was expected, not earned. After college, the job market in Nashville was tough, especially for entry-level gigs. Rents were climbing with all the people flocking to the city for the music scene, and I couldn't afford a place on my starting salary as a junior social media coordinator at a small marketing firm downtown. So I moved back home, telling myself it was temporary, just until I built up some savings and got my feet under me. My dad was supportive, saying the extra help around the house would be nice. But my mom, she acted like it was my duty, like I owed them for raising me. "Family sticks together," she'd say, but it quickly became clear that meant I stuck around to prop everyone else up. It started innocently enough. One month, the electric bill spiked because Michael had been running his recording equipment non-stop, blasting the AC while he created. My mom mentioned it casually over breakfast. Things are a bit tight this month, Hannah. If you could chip in, it'd help. I did transferring $100 without thinking twice. Then came the internet upgrade. Michael needed faster speeds for uploading his demo tracks to YouTube and SoundCloud. It's an investment in his future. My mom insisted, and somehow the bill landed in my name. Before I knew it, I was covering the streaming services, the family phone plan, even extra groceries for the late night snacks Michael craved during his inspiration sessions. I didn't mind at first. My job was remote most days, so I turned a spare upstairs room into my workspace. I used my own money to buy a sturdy desk, a comfortable chair to ease the back pain from long hours, and dual monitors to juggle client campaigns. That room became my sanctuary, the place where I managed social media strategies for local businesses, crafting posts that boosted their engagement and brought in steady paychecks. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills, and slowly I climbed to social media manager at the agency, handling bigger accounts and earning enough to feel secure. But my mom never saw it that way. She'd poke her head in, sometimes sighing at the mess of sticky notes and strategy boards on the walls. Hannah, you're so lucky to work from home like this. Must be nice not having a real office to go to. Lucky. As if I hadn't clawed my way there, staying up late revising content calendars or troubleshooting ad campaigns while Michael slept in until noon. She'd talk up Michael's potential endlessly, how he was one viral song away from making it big, how Nashville was full of success stories like his. Never mind that his channel had maybe a few hundred subscribers, mostly friends and family she guilted into following. I kept a quiet tally in my phone just for my own sanity. The rent contributions I handed over each month, even though I was living there. The utilities I covered when my mom claimed her paycheck from her part-time receptionist job at a doctor's office was short. The subscriptions, Netflix, Spotify, all the apps Michael used for editing his music videos. Groceries, delivery orders for family nights. Even ride shares for my mom when she didn't want to drive into the city. It added up fast, thousands of dollars over the years. But every time I hinted at it, my mom brushed it off. We're family, Hannah. We help each other. Translation: I helped them and they took it for granted. The worst was how they acted like they were the ones struggling. Michael would complain about how hard it was to break into the music scene, lounging on the couch in sweatpants while scrolling for new gear he needed. My mom would nod sympathetically, then turn to me with that expectant look if a bill loomed. You make good money now, don't you? It's not like you're spending it on anything fun. I'd feel that resentment bubble up, but I'd push it down, wiring the money, because what else could I do? I was the reliable one, the fixer. They assumed I'd always be there to smooth things over. That dynamic festered until the day my mom decided my office was expendable. It was a Saturday afternoon, the kind of humid Tennessee day where the air stuck to your skin. I'd just finished a big project for a client, a social media rollout for a local restaurant chain that had taken weeks of planning. I was exhausted but proud, looking forward to unwinding. When I walked upstairs, I heard voices in my room. My mom was in there with Michael measuring the walls. What's going on? I asked, confusion turning to dread as I saw my mom nudging my chair out of the way. She didn't even pause. Michael needs a proper studio space for his recordings. This room gets the best light and it's bigger than his bedroom. You can move your stuff to the garage, plenty of room down there, and fewer distractions for your computer work. Michael crossed his arms, that smug grin creeping in. Yeah, sis. It'll be perfect for my setup. I've got this new mic coming, and I need space to film videos too. I felt my face heat up. Mom, this is my office. I work here every day, the job that pays for half the stuff in this house. You can't just. She cut me off with a wave, her tone sharpening like I was a child throwing a tantrum. Don't be selfish, Hannah. Michael's finally getting serious about his music. He could make it big, change all our lives. Your job is flexible, you can work anywhere. The garage will be fine, we'll clear out some boxes. Her words landed like a slap, dismissing my career as some hobby while elevating Michael's pipe dream. Michael chuckled. Come on, it's not a big deal. You'll adjust. I stood there staring at the space I'd poured my savings and sweat into, now being handed over like it meant nothing. My mom didn't ask. She decided just like always. That was the moment the question hit me. What if I stopped letting them use me? What if I finally said no? I didn't argue. Instead, I nodded tightly. Fine. I grabbed my laptop, a few files, and walked out, my mind racing. They thought I'd roll over like always, but that fine was my breaking point. Downstairs, I opened my browser and started searching for apartments in Nashville. I'd been window shopping before, but now it was real. Rents were steep, around $2,000 for a decent one-bedroom in a safe area. But when I crunched the numbers, cutting out all the family help, it wasn't impossible. One listing caught my eye, a cozy studio in East Nashville with big windows, hardwood floors, and just enough space for a desk nook. It wasn't fancy, but it screamed independence. I booked a viewing for the next day, telling my mom I had a work errand. The landlord, a no-nonsense woman in her 50s, walked me through it. Quiet building, good neighbors, she said. You work remote? I nodded, explaining my role briefly. She approved my application on the spot after seeing my pay stubs. Signing the lease felt terrifying. First month's rent and deposit totaled $6,000, but also liberating. This was for me, not them. Back home, I started small rebellions. When my mom asked me to add items to the grocery delivery, I texted back, "Can't this week, budget's tight." She responded with a confused emoji, but no pushback. Michael complained the Wi-Fi lagged during his upload. I told him to reset the router himself. I'm on a deadline, I said, not looking up from my screen. They didn't notice at first, too wrapped up in Michael's latest breakthrough, some collab with a local amateur producer. But I was dismantling my ties piece by piece. I packed my external drives, notebooks, and clothes into bags, stashing them in my car under the guise of decluttering. Late nights, I'd drive to the studio, unloading boxes in the empty space, imagining my new life. A week later, the real escalation hit. I came home from a coffee run to find my ergonomic chair gone from the office, now fully Michael's domain, with his guitar stands and lights cluttering the floor. A rickety folding chair sat in its place. Where's my chair? I demanded, storming into the kitchen where my mom was chopping vegetables. She barely glanced up. Oh, I sold it on Facebook Marketplace. Got $200 for it. Michael needed funds for that new microphone. We'll find you something for the garage. That one was too fancy anyway. Rage boiled over. That chair wasn't just furniture. I'd bought it after months of saving when neck pain from bad posture nearly derailed a project. You sold my chair without asking. That's my property, Mom. She set the knife down, eyes narrowing with that mix of irritation and faux confusion she always used. Hannah, it's just a chair. We share in this family. Michael needs support to make his music work. We all do. You're young. Sit on anything. Stop making a fuss. Her contempt was crystal clear, like I was the problem for daring to value my own things. Michael sauntered in, mic box in hand. Chill, sis. It's for the greater good. My channel's growing. I couldn't hold back. The greater good? I've been funding this house for years while you chase dreams on my dime? My mom's face hardened. Don't start that. We're all struggling. Michael's trying, unlike you, complaining over nothing. That did it. I pulled out my phone, showing her the Tally app. Look. Rent bills, groceries, your rides. Michael's gear? Thousands, Mom. And you treat me like I'm disposable. She scanned it, lips thinning. Exaggerated. Nobody forced you. Michael rolled his eyes. Drama queen. It's family we share. Their denial fueled me. Not anymore. I'm moving out this weekend. The kitchen went silent. My mom laughed disbelievingly. Ridiculous. You can't afford it. Where would you go? I have a place. Lease signed. Michael snorted. You're bluffing to punish us. You'll crawl back. My mom crossed her arms. You can't do this. We need you here. think of the family. I am, I said. I'm thinking of me for once. I turned and left them staring, my resolve hardening. Upstairs, I booked a moving truck, the confirmation bringing a rush of fear and freedom. Downstairs, I heard them whispering, but I didn't eavesdrop. For once, their crisis wasn't mine to fix. The next few days were tense. My mom alternated between ignoring me and dropping hints like, "Once you calm down, we'll talk about the garage setup." Michael made snide comments about me, abandoning them over furniture feelings. I packed quietly, focusing on work to stay sane. Moving day arrived, the truck rumbling up our street. Neighbors peeked out as I loaded boxes. My mom stood in the doorway, arms folded. "You're really doing this extreme, Hannah. Life's hard out there alone." I hauled my mattress past her. "I know. That's why I can't stay here bleeding dry." By afternoon, the truck was packed. In the kitchen, I taped a list to the fridge, what Hannah paid last year, itemizing everything in detail, totaling over $15,000. My mom ripped it down. "What is this nonsense?" "Read it," I insisted, holding it up. "Then maybe you'll see." Michael glanced over. "You're embarrassing us." "No," I said. "I'm being honest. This ends now, no more from me." My mom's voice shook. "Please, Hannah, we can't manage without you." "You'll have to," I replied, grabbing my keys. As I drove away, seeing them in the rear view, guilt flickered, but so did relief. That night in my empty studio, I unpacked basics, made a simple meal, and crashed on the floor mattress. Peaceful silence wrapped around me. The calls started the next morning. My phone buzzed relentlessly on the kitchen counter of my new studio, the screen lighting up with my mom's name over and over. I'd barely poured my morning coffee when the first voicemail came through, her voice sharp and accusatory, demanding I pick up because things are falling apart already, Hannah, and it's all because of your little tantrum. It was classic, her starting the attack, framing my boundaries as an assault on the family, while ignoring how she'd shoved me aside first. I let it ring, sipping my coffee in the quiet space that was finally mine. The studio wasn't much, a compact kitchenette, a fold-out couch I'd splurged on, and my desk tucked by the window overlooking a leafy Nashville street. But without the constant drain of their needs, I could breathe. Work that day felt different too. I dove into a campaign for a boutique music venue, brainstorming posts without interruptions from Michael's blaring speakers or my mom's casual requests for just a quick favor. Still, the guilt gnawed at me, that ingrained sense that I was letting them down, even though logically I knew it was the other way around. By noon, the texts flooded in. My mom led the charge. "Hannah, the electric bill is due, and it's higher than expected, must be from your old setup. Log in and pay it or they'll shut us off. Don't be childish." Then Michael's followed, piling on. "Wi-Fi's glitchy again. Fix it remotely or something." Mom's stressing out. No apologies. No acknowledgement, just demands, as if I was still their on-call service. My dad even chimed in once, his message milder. "Your mom says you're upset. Call her, kiddo." But he didn't push. He never did, always deferring to her lead. I ignored them at first, focusing on a client call where I pitched a social strategy that got enthusiastic nods. It was empowering, reminding me why I'd fought for this career. But the pressure built. That evening, as I unpacked more boxes, my phone rang again. My mom, of course. I let it go to voicemail but listened later. "Hannah, this isn't funny. The internet's about to cut out because of the bill. Michael can't upload his new track. How's he supposed to build his audience if you're sabotaging us? You always think you're better than us with your fancy job, but family comes first." Her tone dripped with that deep-seated resentment, like my success was a personal affront, proof I didn't fit her mold of the dutiful daughter who stayed small. The next day escalated further. I woke to a barrage, missed calls from all three, texts escalating from pleas to accusations. My mom's messages stung the most. "I raised you better than this, running off like a spoiled brat. The groceries are low and I can't cover it all on my paycheck. Come back and help, or are you too good for us now? Michael's were angrier. You're killing my momentum, sis. Mom's crying because of you. Even Dad added, things are tight here. Your mom needs you. It was her playbook initiating the guilt, rallying the others to echo her, making me the villain for finally standing up. Work suffered a bit. During a team meeting, I zoned out thinking about them, nearly missing a question about engagement metrics. I snapped back, delivering solid ideas, but the stress lingered. That afternoon, I decided to respond minimally, not caving, but setting a line. I texted my mom, handle the bills yourselves. I'm not paying anymore. Her reply was instant. How dare you? After everything I've done for you, Michael needs that internet for his career. You're jealous, that's what this is. Jealous. As if I hadn't cheered him on for years, even when it meant sacrificing my own peace. The harassment intensified over the week. My mom called during my lunch break, her voice booming when I finally answered. Hannah, the power company's threatening shutoff. This is your fault. Your name's still on the account from when you helped last time. Fix it now, or we'll freeze this winter. Tennessee winters weren't brutal, but the drama was her specialty, painting me as heartless. Mom, transfer it to your name, I said calmly. She scoffed. Easy for you to say, sitting in your little hideaway. You think you're independent, but you're nothing without us. Always were the difficult one. Michael jumped on the call. I heard her pass the phone. Come on, Hannah, just pay it this once. Mom's right. You're acting like we never did anything for you. Their tag team wore on me, but I held firm. No, figure it out. Hanging up felt shaky, my hands trembling as I returned to editing a video post for work. That night, alone in my studio, I journaled my feelings, the anger at her constant belittling, the hurt from being seen as the lesser child. It helped grounding me as more voicemails piled up. A few days later, the real crisis hit. Nashville's weather turned chilly, and early cold snaps sweeping in. My phone exploded again. My mom first, of course. The heat's out, furnace broke, and the repair quote is $400 minimum. We can't afford it, Hannah. Do something. Her panic was laced with blame, as if my leaving caused the appliance to fail. Texts from Michael amplified it. It's freezing here. Mom's bundled in blankets, stressed out. You're really gonna let this happen? Dad's was simple. Cold in the house. Call your mom. I felt the pull, that old instinct to rescue them. But I waited, letting them stew. Work kept me busy, a promotion discussion with my boss praising my recent campaigns. You're thriving, Hannah, she said. It contrasted sharply with my mom's view of me as inadequate. That evening, another call from my mom, her voice cracking for the first time. Please, Hannah, it's getting bad. I don't know what to do without you. No apology, but a hint of desperation. I answered, steeling myself. Mom, did you call for repair quotes? Set up a payment plan. She hesitated. No, you always handled that stuff. Just help us wire the money. Always her starting the demand, expecting compliance. I'll help once, I said finally, but with conditions. Silence, then her wary. What conditions? This isn't a negotiation. We're family. 1. I pay for this repair, but then I'm off all accounts. 2. You and Michael make a budget without me in it. 3. Michael gets a part-time job, real income toward the house. 4. No more treating me like your ATM. Michael yelled in the background, conditions, that's messed up. My mom sighed dramatically. You're asking us to change everything because you're mad. Fine, whatever, just fix the heat. I arranged the repair myself, paying $350 that pinched but felt controlled. It wasn't a bailout. It was a bridge to boundaries. The next day, I drove over for the first time since leaving the familiar suburb, feeling foreign. My mom opened the door, looking weary but defiant. You came. Good, now let's get this over with. She led the attack again, even in vulnerability. We sat at the kitchen table, my laptop open to a spreadsheet. Show me incomes, bills, everything. My mom bristled. This is humiliating. You think I can't manage? But she listed her hours, her pay modest from the doctor's office. Michael's column was empty. He's building his music, she defended. That's not income, I countered. The math doesn't lie. As numbers filled in the gap, glared expenses outpacing earnings without my subsidies. My mom stared, then whispered, I didn't realize. Michael hovered defensive. This is stupid. I don't need a job. My next track could blow up. My mom shushed him weakly, but her eyes on me held that old contempt. Happy now, proving we're failures. Not failures, I said. Just dependent. This changes now. I emailed the sheet standing to leave, but as I reached the door, my mom grabbed my arm. Wait, there's more. The mortgage is behind a month. If you don't help, her words hung a new escalation, her face twisted in that mix of need and disdain. My mom's words hung heavy in the air, her eyes boring into mine with that familiar blend of desperation and disdain, as if admitting the mortgage lapse was somehow my fault for not catching it sooner. The bank's calling every day now. She snapped, her voice rising like she was the victim here. If we miss another payment, they'll start foreclosure proceedings. You want that on your conscience. Hannah, after all I've sacrificed, raising you kids. It was classic, her sparking the conflict with a guilt-laced accusation, twisting the knife by reminding me of her sacrifices, while ignoring how she'd always favored Michael and treated me like an obligation. I froze for a second, the spreadsheet still open on my laptop, the numbers mocking us all. Part of me, the old Hannah, wanted to pull out my phone and transfer the money right then just to make the tension stop. But I caught myself remembering the countless times she'd dismissed my achievements, like when I'd landed my first big client at the agency, and she'd barely nodded before changing the subject to Michael's latest gig at a dive bar. Mom, how did this happen? I asked instead, keeping my tone even. You've known about my contributions. Why didn't you adjust when I left? She crossed her arms, her face flushing with anger. Adjust, easy for you to say with your cushy job posting pictures online all day. Michael's music takes time to pay off, and your dad's garage isn't bringing in what it used to. You were supposed to help Hannah, you always did before. But no, you had to run off because you're too selfish to share a room. Her words dripped with that deep-rooted contempt, the kind that made it clear she'd always seen me as the lesser child, the one who didn't sparkle like Michael, the one she could push around without consequence. Michael leaned against the counter, chiming in with a scoff. Yeah, sis, mom's right. You drop this bomb and expect us to magically fix everything. The house is on the line, pay up or admit you're abandoning us. Dad sat quietly at the table, fiddling with his coffee mug, his silence enabling her as usual. But I wouldn't let her steer this into another one-way demand. No, I said firmly, closing my laptop. I'm not bailing you out again. That mortgage is your responsibility. Sell some of Michael's gear if you have to, or cut back on the extras. I've given enough. My mom's eyes widened, shock turning to fury as she slammed her hand on the table. How dare you? I gave birth to you, raised you in this house, and this is how you repay me, by watching us lose it all. Your heartless Hannah always have been, with your independent streak that ruins everything. The room crackled with tension, her attack landing like it always did. But this time, I stood my ground. Heartless mom, you've treated me like a wallet for years, shoving me aside for Michael at every turn. Remember my college graduation? You skipped the ceremony because Michael had an audition. Or, when I got promoted last year, you said, "That's nice," and then asked for money for his new guitar. I'm done being your scapegoat. Tears pricked my eyes, but I blinked them back, the weight of years of invisibility fueling my resolve. She stepped closer, her voice low and venomous. You think you're better than us? Fine, go back to your lonely apartment, but don't come crying when you realize family is all you have. Michael nodded vigorously, adding, Yeah, good luck without us bugging you. You'll miss it. Dad finally spoke, his voice soft. Hannah, maybe just this once. But I shook my head, grabbing my keys. No, Dad. Mom started this by pushing me out. Now you all face the consequences. As I walked out, her parting shot echoed, "You'll regret this." The drive back to my studio was a blur, adrenaline pumping, but by the time I unlocked my door, a strange calm settled. I'd finally confronted her head on, exposing the rot in our dynamic. The immediate fallout was brutal. Over the next week, my mom's calls turned relentless, each one starting with her berating me for causing their mess. The bank sent a notice: Hannah, foreclosure starts if we don't pay $2,000 by next month. She'd yell, always the instigator, guilting me while downplaying her role. Michael's texts piled on. Mom's a wreck because of you. Sold my amp for peanuts, happy now. Even Dad messaged, your mom's not sleeping. Think about helping? Work became my refuge. I threw myself into a major campaign for a Nashville festival, coordinating posts that went viral and earned me praise from my boss. You're on fire, Hannah, she said in our video call. It boosted my confidence, contrasting sharply with my mom's constant put-downs. But the stress took a toll one night after a particularly vicious voicemail from her calling me ungrateful and cold. I broke down sobbing on my couch. I scheduled a therapy session the next day, my first ever, where the counselor helped me unpack the years of favoritism and emotional manipulation. Your mom's behavior isn't about you, it's her issues, she said. It was a start toward healing. As weeks turned to months, the consequences hit them hard. My mom had to pick up extra shifts at the doctor's office, grumbling in rare texts about how exhausting it was without my buffer. Michael, facing the reality of no free rides, finally got a part-time job bussing tables at a downtown diner. Nothing glamorous, but it brought in steady cash. They downsized luxuries, canceled subscriptions I'd once covered, sold more of Michael's unused equipment, even switched to cheaper groceries. The mortgage. They scraped by with a payment plan after my mom swallowed her pride and negotiated with the bank, though she made sure to text me about how humiliating it was, as if to shame me. One evening, about 3 months in, my mom called, not to demand, but sounding defeated. Hannah, we almost lost the house last week. Had to borrow from your aunt. Her voice lacked the usual bite, replaced by weariness. I I see now how much you carried. Michael's working more. Your dad's picking up overtime. It's hard. It wasn't a full apology, but it was the closest she'd come to admitting her role. I responded carefully. I'm glad you're managing, but I'm not coming back to the old ways. She sighed. I know. Maybe come for coffee sometime. I agreed to a neutral meeting at a cafe near my studio, not the house. When I arrived, she looked older, the lines around her eyes deeper. She started the conversation as always, but this time with a tentative, I'm sorry for pushing you out like that. I thought Michael needed it more. You're so capable, I figured you'd be fine. It was laced with her old bias, but I saw the crack in her armor. Mom capable doesn't mean I don't hurt. You always made me feel like second best. She nodded slowly, tears welling. I favored him because he reminded me of my dreams I never chased. You, you were stronger, but I resented that you didn't need me as much. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. Michael texted later. Mom told me about the talk. Working sucks, but I get it now. Thanks for the push, I guess. They adapted the house, stabilizing without my constant input. My dad even called once, proud. We're okay, kiddo. Miss you, though. For me, life bloomed in ways I'd never imagined. My studio became a true home. I added plants, artwork from local markets, even hosted a small gathering with work friends, laughing without the shadow of family drama. At the agency, I took on leadership roles, mentoring juniors on social strategies, my confidence soaring. I started dating casually, a guy from a coffee shop who actually listened without expecting favors. Therapy continued, helping me set boundaries like blocking calls after 8 p.m. I volunteered at a women's shelter, channeling my experiences into helping others escape toxic dynamics. 6 months after that fateful shove, I looked back and realized I'd chosen myself, and it hadn't destroyed them. It forced growth. My mom still slipped sometimes, making snide comments in our occasional visits, but I shut them down firmly. Mom, that's not okay. She backed off more each time, her dislike softening into reluctant respect. Michael released a song that got some local play earned from his own efforts, not mine. The family wasn't perfect, but it was healthier with me as an equal, not a crutch. What I learned is that family isn't about endless sacrifice, it's about mutual respect and boundaries. Love doesn't mean letting them drain you dry. I won't allow my mom or anyone to use me like that again. I've built a life that's mine, and it's thriving. If you've ever felt like the forgotten one in your family, what would you do to break free? Share in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts.